It's the Swiss Army knife of lenses. This is the Tamron 25-200mm G2. The Tamron 25-200mm doesn't just whisper versatility, it shouts it through the treetops and hits the bird right in the eye. If you want a lens that never comes off your camera or just a general all-in-one lens without ever having to buy a second lens, the Tamron 25-200mm G2 is worth looking into. When people say just take one lens, this is the lens right here. So let's talk about what's so great about this lens. First and foremost, it is the focal range, 25-200mm. So this lens operates great as a wide lens. So for architecture, landscape, general travel photography, this is a really good lens, but it can also easily convert into a telephoto lens. So you can use it for portraits and close-ups and, grab in sports photography and bird photography, basically things that you can't actually reach. So yeah, you have an all-in-one lens here for wides, for mids, and for telephoto shots. In terms of general reach, it can reach up to 10 meters away, so it's nothing like you're going to be grabbing shots from 2 stories up or 2 stories down, but it will save your legwork having to run across the room. You can simply convert to 200mm and reach right across that room with no problem. And yeah, I like this lens, but don't expect a prime telephoto from this lens. The max aperture at 200mm is 5.6. So that's a fairly dark aperture. I mean, it does mean you have quite a deep depth of field, and that's going to be useful for, say, when you're photographing birds or animals who don't necessarily want to, respect that depth of field and are probably bouncing back and forth. It's going to be useful in those cases. But for darker scenarios like nighttime, that telephoto of 5.6 aperture, it's going to be a bit of a limitation. So really, I think this lens really does shine in daytime lighting. Now, Tamron is reliably sharp for its price range. It's one of the things I like most about Tamron lenses. I mean, the sharpness is very crisp, it's great. Some people might not like that sharpness. It definitely doesn't have that distinct softness that more first-party lenses will have, but I'm someone that tends to lean towards a sharper aesthetic anyway. I do think this lens is really good if you plan on photographing bushland photography, as the bushland is quite sharp and crispy, and I really think the Tamron lens really does capture that texture. I also find that sharpness is quite useful when it comes to photographing birds, as it gets the texture of the feathers nicely and it really does nail the sharpness of that bird's eye, so it's a good bird lens as well. In regards to the bokeh, it's a little bit cat eye. It's not as creamy as a first party lens, but it does help to separate the subject just enough, and in certain scenarios it looks quite fantastic. So personally, I like the bokeh, it does what it needs to do. Now let's talk about the build. So the thing that's most immediately obvious with most Tamron lenses is the lightweight aspect of them. So Tamron are actually some of the lightest telephoto lenses you can get, which is going to matter if you plan on traveling around and just want something that's a little easier on your back. The Tamron range is a great option for that. A few physical things also worth noting is that this lens has a 67mm diameter, and that's consistent across the Tamron G2 range. So if you want to sort of just get 1 or 2 filters and just want to stick to those filters, investing in the Tamron G2 range will at least ensure you have that consistency across your lenses while saving on filters. Another thing worth noting as well is you do have a really smooth focus ring on this lens. Like, it's pretty damn smooth. I really like how easy it is to operate this focus ring. And I do like the placement of the focus ring as well. It's placed below the focal ring. So basically this focus ring means that I'm not accidentally adjusting the focal length while trying to adjust the focus. And something most people don't really notice about Tamron lenses is they do actually have a rubber gasket on the lens mount here. So that basically means you're going to have a little extra bit of sealing from the lens to the body, which is going to help lower the chances of moisture getting into your camera and onto your sensor. So there's a little bit of extra protection when you're getting a Tamron lens. Now, as for the autofocus, this is a G2 lens, so expect the autofocus to be performing at the G2 range. It has VXD motors inside it, which basically means the lens operates much faster and quieter when it comes to its autofocus. And I was impressed by the autofocus on this lens as well. Despite being a third-party lens, it did work great with a first-party camera. It was operating fairly quickly. Didn't have any issues. There was no real delay with the autofocus. Yeah, it's decent autofocus. But I will also attribute that to the Sony camera I was using. I mean, Sony in general have pretty good autofocus, but at least the Tamron lens here wasn't hampering that autofocus. It was keeping up to speed with the camera. Honestly, what makes this lens so great is what makes a lot of current day Tamron lenses so great. It's inexpensive, but doesn't sacrifice on sharpness and still has a really good telephoto options on it. They also have some good macro options, look into it. But these lenses, I just like them. They're pretty damn good lenses for the jobs that you need to do. If you're sort of going out to do photography and you don't know exactly what genre you're going to be shooting or what you're going to be shooting, the 25-200mm is a really good option to pick up, as basically you can cover pretty much 90% of most photography genres. I mean, wide shots, telephoto shots, this lens does a crazy amount. There are a lot of lenses out there that can cover like maybe 80% of what you need to shoot, but this lens here really does cover a great deal of different photography genres. So I can take this from my wide shots, and if I need to do some portrait shots for people for work, I can just use the exact same lens without ever taking it off the camera. It's a great lens overall. But that's the Tamron 25 to 200mm. What do you think of this lens? Is it worth the investment? Do you think it would ever leave your camera? Let me know in the comments below.